Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So, I was excited to watch this movie. I don't remember where I heard about it. I kind of just stumbled on it on the internet at some point, and I thought art style wise looks cool. And I was looking at the letterbox reviews, and I thought, okay, this seems like it'll be a fun movie, or whatever. I didn't read really far into the reviews. Now I kind of wish I did. So yeah, visuals were the main reason I wanted to watch this. Really. And then I saw that it was on Disney Plus, and I was at my aunt's, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. And I'm recording this like the final day before I have like a ton of access to Disney Plus. I have so many things I added on the watch list on there. It's not even funny. I even put like three different TV shows. So we'll see how many movies I get through. But anyway, I really wanted to like this because I thought it visually looked really cool. I didn't like it. I don't know. It's like the visuals are pretty. I think the designs for the characters look cool because there's like fairies, there's elves, and there's whatever the bogs are, and the fairies have like they're the most like human looking ones, and they have like butterfly wings, which I think is cool, and sometimes they glow and stuff. And there's like one elf, I think, like one or two elves. They just have pointy ears. That's it. They don't really do anything. And then the bogs have like the coolest designs. They're the ones that are on this poster too, which is really funny because like the two main characters aren't on the poster, the Bog King and the Fairy Princess Marianne. Um, it's just a bunch of the side characters, and I think some of them don't even have names that are on this poster, which is really funny to me. And it doesn't really tell you anything about like what it, like seeing this poster because that was one of the things before I saw the movie. I thought it was just gonna be about a weird, but like about the characters on the poster, just about a bunch of weird little creatures that maybe want to be like loved or something. Maybe they go on a little forest adventure. No, no, no. This one's about like romantic relationships. It's kind of weird. Um, but yeah, I and the like, let me talk about the box for a second. I think character design wise, they're my favorite because a lot of them look very like kind of either amphibian or sort of like goblin like, except for the Bog King, who's one of the main characters, which is really funny to me. He looks kind of more human, not as human as the fairies. He's like kind of ugly, cute face wise, but he has this texture on him that kind of looks like wood basically, and the other bogs don't have that, and I just find that really interesting design wise. I kept expecting some kind of reveal that he wasn't actually a bog and maybe some kind of like fairy that got cursed or whatever, because I noticed he's the only bog that has wings, but his wings aren't like like the fairies have butterfly wings, but then the Bog King has wings that remind me more of like a dragonfly or something, or what you would think fairy wings would look like. But they're kind of like they're functional and stuff, but they look kind of broken and a little weird. Um, but there wasn't any kind of reveal. He just looks like that basically, and he's treated as ugly by the other characters. I mean, so are the Bogs, because the whole plot revolves around a love potion. I thought this movie was gonna be like about going on an adventure because the plot kind of like takes a while to start. Because it starts being about like the character. Some of the characters are trying to make a love potion, or something about love potions, and then the main character, the fairy princess's sister, um, ends up getting kidnapped. So I thought, oh, okay, it's gonna be some kind of mission to rescue her, and then she gets found really, really fast, and then the characters are like, oh, she's under the effect of a love potion. You have to do something about it. And I thought it was gonna be okay. They're gonna like go on an adventure to find the antidote or something. No, they don't go on any adventure in this. It basically just kind of bounces from one thing to the next, and I think that's why I didn't like this movie. This is one of the main reasons I didn't like the movie. It just I don't even really know what the story is. It's just kind of things happen, and that's it. Which is a bummer because I did like the characters. I thought all the voice actors were good. I actually recognized a lot of them too, which is pretty cool. Like Alan Cumming gets to voice the Bog King, and this is like the first time because I haven't seen him in like a bajillion movies or whatever, but I've seen him in like quite a few, and like I know that he's Scottish, and it's the only movie I've seen him in where he gets to like like use his own accent. Usually he either sounds like English or American. So that was kind of cool. Um, and then I'm pretty sure Kristen Chenoweth um, voices the Sugar Plum Fairy. I didn't double check that, but I would bet money on that. That's how sure I am, because I heard that character with a really high pitched voice, but specifically when she'll scream or sing a really high pitched note, and I'm like, there is no way that is anyone else. Um, but always cool for me to hear her and stuff, because I every once in a while I'll stumble on an animated movie where she'll voice act a side character, and usually she gets to sing a song, and she gets to sing a song in this. Oh yeah, there's singing in this movie, um, and it's great. Like she was this little poisoned frog or whatever in Rio 2, and that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. I'll watch pretty much anything she's in, honestly, as long as she gets to sing. But yeah, speaking of singing, um, there's a lot of singing. It's weird because like if you look on on YouTube at the soundtrack, it isn't actually like a ton of songs, but they'll only sing like a couple of seconds of a song sometime too. And sometimes it's literally just like back to back to back to back, especially at the beginning and the end, and it just keeps going and going with the singing. And it's weird because like I know there's people in the cast, like the ones I meant, like the two specifically I mentioned, that like can sing. And I think Evan Rachel Wood voices one of the fairy princess characters. I don't know which one, and I know that she can sing because I remember her in one of the Beatles movies. So it's like they have people that can sing, but then I still didn't like all of the characters' voices anyway. Well, then again, I don't know the entire cast for the movie. Like there's a character named Roland. He's I guess the closest to a villain with this, yeah. Um, where he's like one of the fairies and he's trying to marry Marianne the entire movie. I didn't like how he sounded. He doesn't get many songs though. Usually it's like characters singing together, or Marianne getting a lot of the songs. But yeah, the singing bothered me because it's one of those. How do I explain this? I guess it is kind of like Trolls or something in a sense where it's just like a bajillion licensed songs, and I mean that happens with like a lot of animated movies. I don't know why I'm comparing it to Trolls specifically. At least with Trolls though, the whole thing is like it's about music. This one isn't really about music. I don't really know why they're singing, but it's just constant, and I didn't really like that, to the point where I was skipping a lot of the movie whenever most of the characters would sing. Some of the songs I thought were cool, and the thing is, a lot of the songs themselves are songs like the original versions of them I really like. I just didn't really like the movie versions. I did like enough of the songs that I did look up the soundtrack on YouTube. So there's that, and I think I wrote about a couple of them in my notes. And they try to do mashups with at least at the beginning, they have a mashup of Crazy in Love and Can't Help Falling in Love, and that sounded pretty good. That actually blends. It's only really like lyrically it gets blended together, but that sounded nice. Yeah, that's the thing. The movie is about love potions, but also about love itself, so there's a lot of songs about love, and it gets to the point where it gets really funny to me at the end when the two main characters have fallen in love, but they just can't admit their feelings or to get themselves to stay together. And then all of the side characters have a song that's like, hey, you need to confess your feelings right now. We're not going to let you leave otherwise. And the main character's sister has a song about how she knows that her sister is in love. So everyone's singing of like, you better just become a couple already. And I thought, oh, okay, it's going to turn into like a cute little confession scene or something. No, no. Then they start singing, and they have like two more songs after that until the movie finally ends. And I was like, okay, good, good. Um, okay, I feel like I'm getting in my notes. Sorry. I know I've been talking for 10 minutes, mostly complaining about stuff, but I just. That's the thing that that kind of bothers me when it's movies like this, where there's things I legitimately like, but then there's stuff that just kind of either gets on my nerves or kind of holds it back. I mean, maybe people do like the singing in this movie. The singing itself wasn't like bad or anything. They can sing. It's just there was just too much singing for me, which feels really funny to say because I'm someone that like really likes musical theater. I just didn't really care for it with this. I didn't even know there was going to be singing in this movie anyway. It's like the plot started and you're meeting the characters and then someone starts singing and I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is going to have singing. Cool." Um and they do have different versions of some songs. Like they have the song "I'll Never Fall in Love Again." And that one was like a rock version of it, which was pretty cool because it's like the main character Marianne finds out it's like the day of her wedding and she finds her fiance cheats on her and she sings this song, but it's also like a appearance change montage or whatever where she starts wearing like a bunch of makeup for the rest of the movie, which I thought was pretty cool actually. And then bonus points with that, I had that specific song stuck in my head my entire week vacation because before I left on my trip, I watched Austin Powers. Um, so I've had that song in my head for a while, so it was really weird to hear in this one out of nowhere. Let me see. I think I'm gonna skip most of my notes. I'll probably talk about some of the characters though. Like Marianne, she has a sister. Like I mentioned, the sister gets kidnapped. Her name's Dawn. I liked Dawn. You don't get to see much of her. It's just that she isn't really much of a character after a certain point in the movie, which is kind of a bummer. She starts off where she's like kind of dramatic and a bit of an airhead, and then she ends up getting kidnapped and under the effects of a love potion where she falls in love with the Bog King. But then the love potion makes it so you're kind of high, basically, and that you also can't stop singing romance songs. So she basically just loses her entire personality and is like basically brainwashed for most of the movie until the end. And then she gets like some character development a little bit where she's not as much of an airhead anymore, but it's like it's already end of the movie, so it's too late. She doesn't really feel like a character. She's just kind of really like a plot device. So that kind of sucked. I forgot to look up the year this movie came out, but it's kind of I'm assuming like early to mid 2000s or something, or probably early 2000s. I feel like this would be a movie that would be at least before like 2010 or whatever. Um, the characters like I said, I like a lot of the character design, especially for the bogs, but for the human looking ones, like the fairies and the elves, it was kind of weird to look at them because, like, I notice whenever they smile and with their teeth look creepy to me. There's like too many teeth. And then whenever there's close ups on their faces, their skin looks like way too realistic to the point where it's like a little bit creepy. Like they look like too realistic in a sense, but they're like animated, but it's like to the point where it's too much. I feel like you'd have to look at the designs for those characters for it to make sense, but unfortunately, none of them are on the poster because it's just the bogs. So, yeah. But they have like a country song. It's mostly a lot of like pop songs and stuff. Not to the extent of like Trolls, but there's like a country song in here. There's, like I said, there's like some rock versions of songs. I think there's more rock versions of songs than anything else, which is pretty cool. There's an elf character. His name is Sunny. Um, he's the one that kind of starts the whole plot of trying to get a love potion made. I found him really annoying. I skipped pretty much any part of the movie that he was in. Um, the Sugar Plum Fairy, like I said, the one that I'm like 98% sure is voiced by Kristen Chenoweth. Um, she's pretty cool. She's a fun character. She reminds me of like almost any of that actress's other animated characters actually, but I think that's fine. Where the Sugar Plum Fairy, at first I thought she was like some kind of ghost. I thought she was dead, but I think she just looks like that. She's like trapped inside of an orb spider web thing, and she's the character that's like desperately trying to get the other characters to make a love potion. Um, yeah, the plot's kind of weird about love too. Like it all revolves around a love potion where the Bog King is ends up kidnapping Dawn. Not anything to do with love potions or because he's in love with her, but it's just because He's like using her as a bargaining chip to get the um, or not really like a bargaining chip. Yeah, I guess so. To get the other characters to tell him where the love potion that was made is, so he can have it destroyed because he hates love so much. He wants anything related to love potions just like gone, basically. Um, but then it is kind of nice that I wish you got to. Not, why am I saying you? I wish you get to see more of like Dawn and the Bog King together. There's like one scene where she's like brainwashed by the love potion, and I thought they were supposed to become lovers or something, because she falls in love with him because of the love potion, and she's like constantly annoying the people that have kidnapped her because she won't shut up, and to the point where the bog people are begging the sugar plum fairy or whatever, like, please make an antidote for this love potion, we need her to shut up. But yeah, when Dawn and the bog king interact, it's kind of nice where she's in love with him and he tries to like threaten her, but seems like he secretly likes that someone thinks he's like actually nice for once. It's like kind of cute. I thought it was gonna be like one of those kind of stories or something where she would like soften him up a bit. But instead, he ends up, and that's like their one interaction. It's really just like that one scene, basically. But instead, he ends up falling in love with Marianne, which I don't know. I'm like weird in their romance. I mean, also because the plot has it that they're not able to make an antidote in time, and the only thing that can be stronger than the love potion is actual true love. And it is weird where they end up having a song together, and then by the end of the song it's suddenly like they're lovers. And it also feels weird too, because they don't really interact like a ton throughout like earlier in the movie and stuff. And it's like you're already at the halfway point of the movie and now they're finally kind of like getting to properly interact, so I didn't really buy their romance. They do, the Bog King and Marianne have a sword fight when Marianne shows up to save her sister, and that was a pretty cool fight. Actually, they're both like good fighters. You know, it's funny because I was just talking about sword fights with another movie I was doing a review of like yesterday. What was it? I think it was Raya and the Last Dragon. Yeah, I think I'm just noticing like, okay, I need to watch more animated stuff that has sword fights. They're pretty fun. I think sword fights in movies are just kind of fun in general. I thought the animation for that sword fight was pretty good too. There's a part when Marianne and the Bog King, they're fighting and they both spin and they kind of spin around each other and it shows up almost like a tornado spin in a sense. That was really clean. Um, and then I like that Dawn, when she supposedly gets like rescued or something, she doesn't actually want to go home. She wants to stay in her cell because she thinks like, no, my sister's here to take me away from the person I fall in love with, even though it's like the effects of the love potion and stuff. Um, and then I'm like trying to remember. They have to escape out of. There's like a whole escape sequence because the Bog King, his lair is pretty cool. He lives inside of a giant tree, so all of the walls and the floors and stuff have like, the wood texture. I thought that's the cool thing with this movie too. I said visually I really like it. It's not just like character designs and the visuals themselves, but also the environment, because all of the characters are actually like really tiny. It almost reminded me of the movie Epic. I think it's from like 2013 or something. It's the one where there's this lady and she gets shrunken down, and I think Beyonce voices one of the characters for like 5 minutes or something. But it kind of reminded me of that, where it's like these like small fairy characters that are like the size of a blade of grass and they're running around. I like with both those movies actually that they ride around on animals and they all have like armor made out of like leaves or natural things and whatever, or their clothing, or like Marianne at the beginning of the movie in this one. She has these little like fairy assistants or whatever. I don't even know if they count as fairies. They're like kind of glowy and they look really pretty because they wear this clothing and stuff and they're so small that they literally just look like upside down flowers. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, the characters end up having to escape from a tree, and it's like they think the Bog King dies and he doesn't actually die, and then he gets together with Marianne, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, the plot in this is kind of just like things just kind of happen, and that's that's it. It's just weird because it kept making me think it was going to constantly go in another direction or like officially start or something. Where it starts off as like, okay, Marianne's going to like go and save her sister, which she does, but it doesn't really take that long. And then it's like, okay, they need to go find the ingredients for an antidote, and then they don't. So I just wish. I mean, even if it had a better story, I'd probably still think it's like kind of like, eh. But yeah, I was just disappointed because I did like some of the songs and I did really like the voice cast and I liked the designs of everything. That was fun. It's just story wise, I felt like it was kind of held back. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I'll probably listen to the soundtrack. Maybe I'll have a different opinion on that point. I also, it wasn't always easy for me to hear everything too because, you know, I was staying with my aunt for part of the day. And at one point while I was watching the movie, she got in a phone call in the same room. And I muted the volume or I had the volume low, so I didn't really get to hear some of the songs during like the middle portion of the movie. But I did have the subtitles on. I was reading those the entire time, so I didn't at least miss out on any dialogue. Oh, I want to say, because I'm not going to do a review of it, but I just thought, oh, I'll mention it on here. Um, I was also watching some Muppet stuff today. I started watching the ABC The Muppets show, the one that's like a kind of like The Office. I'm not gonna watch every episode of it. I watched like 5 episodes, including the final one. This isn't really like a review of it. I just wanted to give like a teeny bit of my thoughts. I thought it was really good. I've heard people say that it's like really funny. And it's weird because like I don't find The Office, the show, funny, but I found this show funny, this like Muppets one, and it's weird because it's not really like Muppets humor. It didn't feel that way to me, but the jokes and like the delivery of the jokes I thought was pretty good actually, and I like genuinely enjoyed it. I think it's been one of my favorite versions of like Kermit and Miss Piggy's relationship and the way they actually talk to each other and about how their relationship is like kind of toxic and almost made me wish that I did watch the entire show. But from what I did watch, which was basically like the second half of the show, pretty much from there, because it was kind of slow at the beginning. I thought it was really sweet. Maybe if I don't know, I have other things I need to watch in Disney Plus right now. I finished that show. I watched that Sabrina Carpenter the Muppet Show like revival thing. That was okay. And then I started watching that show about the Electric Mayhem, the Muppet Band, and that looks pretty fun. I didn't really get too far in the first episode. The only thing I'm worried about is it looks like it's also gonna have plot lines about the human characters, and it's like I like some of the humans in Muppet movies, but I don't want a lot of the focus to be on the humans when there's just no Muppets around. I don't want humans talking to humans. I want to see Muppets doing stuff or Muppets talking to humans, so I might skip over those parts. I'm probably not going to do a review of that either, but I just wanted to say I've been watching some like fun Muppet stuff and that's been pretty cool, and I recommend all 3 of those honestly. All right, thanks for watching. Bye bye.